and welcome back to the Digital Product Mama podcast. I am your host, Lindsay Bowden, and I have a special guest here with us today. My friend in real life, we actually met online, but now we have met in real life multiple times. Juliana Tapper, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. We have a really special episode for you today, a topic that I haven't actually talked about on the podcast before. And we are going to be discussing launching a book, which is incredible. And my friend Juliana is doing that right now. And I can't wait to ask her all the questions. So before we get into all of that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you help people?
Yeah, so I'm Juliana Tapper, and I help 6th through 12th grade math teachers increase engagement of students who struggle and have been, historically really unsuccessful in mathematics. I'm also a mama of two little girls. Our kids are really close together in age. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old right now. And I used to be a high school math intervention teacher. So we have very similar backgrounds with the high school math teacher. I taught in South LA, East San Jose, and Denver. And I've also been a district coach, a district TOSA, a teacher on special assignment, and then started my consulting business in 2018 full time. And that's when I connected with you and all the stuff you were doing for math teachers at the time. And we realized that you live in the same town that my husband grew up in. So it's just been
Crazy.
wild.
So crazy. Yes. So when we realized that, she came to visit for Thanksgiving and we met, and then we've hung out several times since then and become great friends. So excited to have you on today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So, okay, you've been doing all the things, you've been doing consulting, and then you decided to write a book, which is so exciting and something that I don't know, maybe I would like to do one day. So I can't wait to ask you all the questions. So tell me a little bit about the road that led to you writing a book.
Yeah. So I think as a consultant, after I started my consulting business, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to write a book. It seems like you want to get in front of administrators when you're a consultant, and a book is just a great way to do that. It adds a lot of credibility to your consulting business, to your name in that way. And so I had always, it had been in the back of my mind, but I'm also I'm a math teacher. I'm not a great writer. If you see anything that I put on Instagram or blog posts, there are typos, I have to embrace that. I have lots of typos. I don't have the best, copy editing eye. And so I was just kind of oh, I'm not sure if I would ever do that. And I remember it was 2019, I was pregnant with our first, and we were on a marriage retreat, me and my husband. And we were just talking about dreams and goals and all these things. And I was like, maybe I'll write a book if we have another baby, during my maternity leave or something. And he immediately looks at me and is I remember where we were walking in Estes Park, during this marriage conference. And he was like, well, you wouldn't actually write it, right? I love my husband. But I remember his response. He was like, well, you wouldn't actually write, you'd hire a ghostwriter or something, right? And I was just I was in shock right there in that moment.
Insane.
Thanks for believing me so much. But he has turned into be a huge supporter during this whole process. But I had spoken that dream in that moment. And then fast forward to, we go past a pandemic, we live through a pandemic, and then I am pregnant with baby number 2. It was spring break. I was, with my husband and my daughter. We were on a work trip with him. And I get this email, and I pulled it up in preparation for our podcast. And the subject line was your ASCD session. And if you're an educator, ASCD is a very large national conference for administrators mainly. And it was in Denver and that year. And I had gotten accepted to speak at the conference. And so I had just finished my session, and it went really well. The session was huge. It was the most people I had ever had in a conference session. And it turns out, an editor from a publishing house, Routledge, was just trolling national conference sessions and came across my session. And she said, so I pulled it up. She said, I'm a publisher at Routledge, Ion Education, focusing on practical resources for K-12 teachers. And I was looking through the ASCD program, and your session on math caught my eye, especially the concept of elevating expectations. Have you thought about turning your ideas into a PD book for math educators? And I was just like, this is crazy. I'm about to have my second baby. Like I spoke this into existence and God like came through.
Yeah.
So yeah, so tip number one, if you're a consultant or a aspiring author, is to apply for national education conferences, get in there, because that is how this came to be. She reached out to me because she saw the conference session.
That's
So
incredible.
that was crazy. And then there was a lot of back and forth about getting the book going. And yeah, a big selling point, I will say, like a second tip for aspiring authors is to grow your email list, like exactly
Mhm.
how Lindsay points out. Because I now have like 16,000, I might be at 17,000 now teachers on my email list. And when I told the publisher that, they were like, yes, all systems go. We have to get this girl a book.
Incredible.
And so that was a huge selling point, was having a big email list. Like I sell my digital products to them. I sell my digital courses to them exactly as you lay out. Like you are the biggest inspiration behind my business. And it is helping me times a million, sell this book and launch this book into the world. And to give it its best shot is having an email list.
I love that. And did they ask you about your social media following? I'm just curious.
They did. I mean, I have a really small social media following, like
Yeah.
under 5,000, 4,000 something is where I'm at right now. And
And they were still like, okay, let's do this because of your
yeah,
email size. That's really
because
cool.
of the email list size. And I have a 50% open rate on my
Wow.
emails being
That's
sent out to like 17,000 teachers. Like I just cleaned house, so that's why I'm a little unsure of the numbers,
yeah.
because you always do get people who stop opening. So I just went through and deleted like 3,000 emails, I think, and I think I'm still at 16,000 at least.
Wow.
And so I'm so proud of that. Like I do funnels exactly as Lindsay has laid out. Like I do the Facebook, I pay for Facebook ads. I have the mini workshops. I have the sales pages. I have the sales emails exactly as Lindsay laid out. And it has helped me to build that email list.
That's amazing. That is such like a God moment, like you said.
Yeah.
Really, that's awesome. Okay, I just want to back up for just a second in case anyone is asking, what is a consultant exactly? Can you just
Yes.
explain what that means, what you do?
Yeah, exactly. So in 2018, when I started my consulting business, it really just started with schools and districts hiring me to do the professional development or to do the instructional coaching
Yeah.
for their math teachers. So my first client was my old school district in California, and I was doing PD for the Algebra 1 and like special education math teachers. And I was doing instructional coaching for the special ed math teachers. And I was also like coaching the TOSA that had taken my position when I left. Also coaching her to, be a better leader in that role. And so, yeah, they would just pay me, to fly out to California, pay me a daily rate to be there, that I set. And I figured if they would hire me, maybe other people would. And so I just started networking and putting myself out there. And every year I work with a couple of different schools and districts, like all over the US to help, with 6th through 12th grade math.
That's awesome. And for the non-teachers listening, PD is professional development.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
because I know some people are like PD, because I say that all the time. My husband's like, hey, PD again, what's that?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. And it means different things in different industries
That
too.
is true. That is true. So professional development is just like sessions where teachers are learning how to be a better teacher, basically.
Yes.
Okay, that is such an awesome story. Okay, so we have people listening who are teachers, who are moms, and I really talk about selling digital products, which you kind of explained that you're already doing that. You already have built your list, you're selling them products. And then you've done this, as a consultant, you're doing in-person stuff. You're really doing all the things, Juliana. Like,
Yeah, I know.
get
It
it,
really is
girl.
all the things.
All the things. So, you are getting ready to. Okay, so I want to talk about the book more. So you have this moment where the publisher reaches out. So before we get into like the launching of the book and the marketing and that kind of stuff, tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so the book is called Teaching 612 Math Intervention. It's a practical framework for increasing engagement of students who struggle. And, so I really want to get it into the hands of 6th through 12th grade math teachers with students who struggle and to administrators. And yeah, in it, I go through my framework. So like over the years of having the consulting business and having a business coach and doing all these things, I really realized that I need a framework. And it happens very organically because every school and district is pretty much asking me for the same thing. So I created a framework, and so it's the Break It Math Intervention Framework, and it helps teachers break the gatekeeping cycles of mathematics. And so the book is the framework, and it closely mirrors my digital course, which is like, you are the inspiration behind me starting a digital course because I saw Lindsay's success marketing to math teachers. And I said, I want to do that too. And we met during the pandemic, and I wanted to be able to create digital products and digital courses and stay home with my baby and not have to be at the airport all the time as a consultant. And so, the book very closely mirrors my digital course. And so the writing process for me was very straightforward because I knew I talk about this all the time. Every day in my consulting job, I'm talking about these things. And so it was very easy for me to get the content out. I actually sat down to start writing on February 1st of 2023. And all the advice I heard was just word vomit. Get the word vomit draft out there. Just write for 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day, every single day. Don't miss a day. And I just followed that lead. And I think I had my first, vomit draft done by like May 1st or some, maybe
Wow,
April 1st. I think April 1st, actually.
that's
And
crazy.
then it was iterating, pulling in different stories. There's stories from my classroom. There's case studies from teachers that have used my digital workshops and all of these things and the success that they've had. Those case studies are in the book. And so just kind of getting all of that together along with the actual practical, how do I engage students who struggle with math, is in there as well. And then, back and forth, I worked with a developmental editor as well to really help make sure the book felt cohesive. So I hired a developmental editor to help support me with that. And then turned the book in on June 15th. And my girls had a month off of daycare, and I got to just be with them, came and visited you in Georgia and my in-laws. And yeah, so that is like how the book came to be. And then back and forth with copy editors.
That is awesome. Wow, that was so fast that you
Yeah, it was so fast, and people are like, "Oh my God," people say that writing a book takes years, but thanks to the digital course, thanks to the clarity that I have of how to communicate these things to teachers because I've been doing this for a couple of years now, it just flowed right out of me. And I have no desire at this point to like write a second book. Like, this is everything. Like, this is my heart and soul and everything. So, it's all in there. And I just had to get it out.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the fact that it's very similar to your course. And I feel like, there might be a market for like both of these depending on how people like to consume content. I feel
Exactly.
like administrators are all about books and like, we used to have book club at our school. I don't know if you've ever been to a school that does that, but
Yep.
we have to read a book as like a professional development. So that's perfect. Whereas, videos in a course that, not everyone is interested in watching videos. They might not have the time. Um,
Exactly. And
yeah.
I think I'm learning more and more. It's how like the setup for the teachers, because with professional development, the teachers are forced to be there. You're forced to listen to this presenter that your admin brought in. Maybe they like me, maybe they don't, versus people that find me through a Facebook ad and find my funnel. They are identifying with the pain point that I'm putting out there, with the struggle of teaching students who are multiple grade levels below in their math classes. And how do we get them up to grade level, right? How do we get our students to engage in our math classes? And they identify with that struggle and with that pain point, and they are opting in and raising their hand to say, I want help with this. It's like, it's a very different teacher, like at both of these settings. And so a book speaks to different teachers, a course speaks to different teachers, digital products speak to different teachers. Some just want, give me the warm-up slides,
Right,
give
right.
me the activities to
Done
do the
for
first week of school
you.
with my kids to help build this community that you speak of.
Right.
Some of them just want, it's like to have all of it, it's like just very cohesive.
Yeah, it really rounds out your product suite. And also, I was
Mhm.
thinking this won't apply to everyone, but for people who are marketing to professionals, you have teachers that buy out of pocket, but then maybe this book would be more something that an administrator would buy for their whole school. So
Exactly.
it's, the different buyers for that. So maybe if you're, teaching some kind of industry related topic, it might be something to think about. Like maybe you have a course or digital products for people who are buying out of pocket, but then maybe having a book or something more professional for, CEOs, bosses to buy for their employees. So
Exactly. And for any teachers listening, you can if you have, an LLC and you have a EIN with the federal government, it's very easy to set up purchase orders. So if you are selling your bundles, if you're selling teaching resources, it is no problem to set up a purchase order to make sure that teachers aren't paying out of pocket. And I always give that option for my digital PD because I don't want teachers to pay out of pocket
right.
for PD. They shouldn't be paying out of pocket. That should absolutely be paid for by the school. And I will do everything I can to make that as easy as possible for the teachers.
That's a good point. Yeah. I feel like a lot of teachers are scared of purchase orders. And I feel like this could probably be a whole nother episode, like how to set up a purchase order. It's
Oh
really
yeah,
easy, but it's just you
it's
have
so
to do it
easy.
in the correct way. And you have to be like a
Mhm.
business, and because you're dealing with, the accounting department of a
Oh
school.
my gosh,
They're
yeah,
very, those accountants, I know because my husband is one. They're very follow the rules.
exactly.
So, anyways, I love that. Okay, so now you have this book written, you're doing the editing phase. And when this podcast launches, you're actually going to be taking pre-orders for the book, right?
Yes, I am so excited.
So can you kind of tell us like the marketing strategy behind launching this book and kind of what you've done?
Yes. So again, going back to just like build your list now, because the more people you have on your list when you launch your book, the better. Like it is really going to be a huge help. Like you can't just rely on social media. I mean, growing that social media following is so important. But I have found a lot of success with paid ads to build my list, and I just think it's a great option to do it quickly. Like you've said before as well. So definitely build that list. And so I have found that my mini workshop webinar funnel works really well. So the way my funnel is set up is there will be a Facebook ad to a free mini workshop. That's going to be about increasing engagement of students who struggle. So very aligned with the book.
Yeah.
And then teachers will opt into that. They will get the free mini workshop. It'll be between 45 minutes and 60 minutes, and they'll get a ton of value in that mini workshop. And then at the very end of the mini workshop, I do offer them the opportunity to pre-order the book and access a ton of pre-order bonuses. So like this is just so much of like what I've learned from you, what I've seen from other entrepreneurs. I listen to Amy Porterfield's podcast a lot, and I was paying very close attention when she launched her book, which was a huge, runaway bestseller. And just, you offer a ton of bonuses because when you are like the book is not shipping until December 30th. And I am asking teachers to start ordering this book starting September 30th. That's a 3-month window of I am paying $35 for a book on Amazon that's not going to reach my doorstep until like sometime in the first week of January. And
Right.
that's a big ask. And I don't like take it lightly that a teacher would be willing to take that risk on me and say like, okay, I'm going to pay for this book now and I'm going to wait. So I have like put in so many bonuses to teachers that pre-order the book. So, at the end of that mini workshop, I talk about all of the amazing pre-order bonuses. And so like I am including in there my Math Wars workshop, which is I sell that alone for $97. And like it brings in a ton of money for my business, but I am giving it away for free for teachers that pre-order the book for $35. So that's huge. I'm doing a series of 3 live mini workshops for teachers that do the pre-order. I'm giving away like, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 10 classroom resources because I do sell on Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yeah.
And so I have been able to reallocate those to give some away as a bonus for registering or for pre-ordering the book, which is huge. Like another way to use those digital products, you can use them as your bonus when you launch your book. I'm giving early access to chapter 1 so they can start reading right away. They can at least get chapter 1 done as soon as they pre-order the book. And then I've created like an implementation roadmap that's going to help make the most out of the pre-order. So like just a really quick checklist of here are the things you should be doing during the pre-order time. And then once the book arrives, like here's the order you should go in with the book just to kind of help facilitate that. And then giving them access to all of those resources, like for a full year, after the book ships. So they'll have access to that for a very long time. So Yeah, like the funnel itself, like I said, is the Facebook ad. They'll land on a landing page for the free mini workshop. Then they'll be automatically redirected to the recording of the mini workshop where I sell the pre-order at the end. And then they'll have the option to pre-order the book. And then there is a follow-up sales email sequence, just a couple of short emails reminding them to pre-order, exactly how you lay out, exactly how you run your funnels as well, to launch the pre-order of this book and to really build that excitement around it. So all in all, it's like over $400 of bonuses. And I
Wow.
can say that confidently, and like very proudly that I'm like adding so much in for teachers who are willing to pre-order.
Right. And like you said, they need that incentive if it's going to be a while before they actually get the product. It reminds me of kind of like a
Exactly.
beta launch of a course if you're doing it before the course is finished.
Exactly.
And make sure that there's content now for them to consume. Otherwise, they're gonna forget or it's gonna arrive at their doorstep and they're gonna be like, I didn't order this or who is this?
Exactly. They'll totally forget about it. Like I want to keep it top of mind. I do believe this book has the answers to help increase engagement for students who struggle, which is where so many math teachers are at right now, especially post-pandemic. And yeah, so like I want to get this into as many teachers' hands as possible, as many administrators' hands as possible. And I think we'll put the link in the show notes, but it's collaborated with juliana.com/lively, because we're taking our classrooms from lifeless to lively in the mini workshop. So that will be the URL if anyone listening wants to go check out this book pre-order funnel in action. I invite you to go check out that website.
I love it. Yeah. So if you are, we have a lot of math teachers listening who are probably going to be
Yeah.
interested in the book anyway, and you definitely should pre-order it because Juliana is like the queen of all things math. Well, math intervention.
Yeah, math
And
intervention.
just everything you put on Instagram, I'm like, dang, that's so good. Like I wish I had that when I was a teacher in the classroom. So if you're a math teacher, definitely pre-order the book. But even if you're not and you're just interested in that funnel, definitely check
Yes.
that out and see how she has the funnel laid out. I'm gonna go check it out for sure because it's so cool how it's so close to a course launch. And I didn't really
Mhm.
think about that, like that it would be so similar
I'm
to
just copying the pages that I have for my other mini workshops that sell my courses,
yeah,
and wham bam, I have
right.
my pre-order book launch.
Right. And that's awesome that a funnel really can work in so many different ways. You just got to set it up. So I love that.
Yes. And I am using the book as a lead magnet for my consulting business, for my digital product business. So in there, in every single chapter, I have, visit the book URL, which I won't say right now, because in pre-order it's not live, but the book URL is in there, and teachers can go download the done for you resources. They can download additional things to help implement each chapter of the book. And so it's going to be a lead magnet for years to come for my email list and for my digital products and digital courses.
That's so good. Oh man, I love that. Maybe I do need to write a book.
Yeah, exactly. It was so
Brain
much
going,
fun. Exactly. Like once I knew what I wanted to write, it
yeah.
came very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So, writing and launching a book, this is all brand new to you. How has this challenged you in your business? How has it kind of pushed you to do something you've never done before?
Yeah, I think for me, it's pushing me to be extremely generous during the pre-order time. Like I was talking with my business coach, and I was like, oh, because usually in this time, like September through December, I have a funnel running that sells my Math Wars Method workshop for $97. And that funnel does very well. And it's the exact same. There's a Facebook ad, there's a free mini workshop. At the end of the free mini workshop, I sell you Math Wars, and then you either purchase Math Wars or you don't.
Right.
And it's that exact same funnel that I run September through December, and it does very well for my business. And I'm letting go of that this year. And my book, you do not make a lot of money from a book. I do not have I have a book contract, but there is no upfront money that I have been paid to write the book. It is completely royalty based, and it is a small percentage, I will tell you that much, because I went with a traditional publisher, because I do think that's important for administrators. Administrators look at the publishing house. And so I wanted to go with a traditional publisher because this is an education book. So my royalties are very low. I, will probably not make very much money from the royalties of this book. And I'm okay with that because it is a bigger purpose, a bigger, getting these strategies in the hands of more teachers is what I care about more.
Yeah.
And I'm also just like giving so much for the pre-order that I'm really putting my income on hold, in hopes that the better chance I give this book for like a bestseller list or something,
Mm.
the more schools it can reach, the more administrators' hands it can land in. And I do have a goal of hitting the USA Today bestseller list,
Yeah.
which I feel very vulnerable sharing that with your audience out loud.
Yeah.
You know, it means I have to sell 6,000 books in pre-order.
Wow.
And all of those pre-orders will amount to the sales for week one of the book. And I was just looking up before we hopped on our call. I was like, how many copies do most books sell? Because I know I've heard some crazy statistics. So this is what the AI overview on Google told me. According to Slate magazine, more than 90% of books sell fewer than 1,000 copies,
Okay.
and 50% sell fewer than 12 copies.
Wow.
So when I put the goal out there to sell 6,000 copies in pre-order, that feels vulnerable, and that has pushed me to do something new. And the way I see, being able to maybe hit that goal is by offering just so much in that pre-order phase, and really thanking the teachers who are putting their trust in me in that pre-order. So yeah, it just like, it feels vulnerable to share that and to go out on a limb in that way, to just give,
Yeah.
in hopes that, later down the road, it will be worth it.
Yeah. I love that goal, and I really hope that you meet that
Yeah.
goal.
And I mean, having an email list of 17,000 teachers makes
Right.
me feel like, oh my gosh, is this somewhat attainable for me? So we'll find out, December 30th, we'll find out when that USA Today list hits the internet. So
Yeah. That's super exciting. And yeah, and I feel like having the funnel set up is also really important. Like I say the same thing with a course, but you can't just make a course and say, "Hey, I have a course. Anybody want it?" Like, no, you have to, because there are so many books and there are so many courses and we are bombarded with information. Like, you have to set up a really good funnel if you want things to sell in this economy, in this digital age. So, uh,
yes, I just wrote a blog post on like my consultant support website.
yeah,
And one of the strategies was, if you build it, they will not come.
yes, exactly. Exactly. You have
It
to put
just
yourself
doesn't.
out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I mean, there's so many other things I want to ask you about the book marketing. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but did you research anything about like self-publishing on Amazon before this publisher reached out?
I didn't look at it before they had reached out, because I had really felt like, to use this as really something to anchor my consulting business. I wanted it to be a traditional publisher.
Right.
I wanted it to be a Routledge, a Stenhouse, a Josie Bass, something that when I look on the shelf, on my bookshelf of what are the teacher PD books, what are the education books, they're all by those publishers. And I was like, I want to have a publisher that I have on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
And when they reached out, I was just like, this feels right. I got some cold feet at the very end, right before I signed the contract. Like, maybe I should shop this book around. And in the end, I didn't. And I just stuck with them. They believed in me. I was so bought into like, I want to write this book now, that I was like, let's just keep it moving,
Right. The momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know that
But
about publishers. Like I had no idea that there were certain publishers that administrators would look at. So that's really interesting.
yeah, and I asked some of my administrator friends, like, do you look at the publishing house? And they were like, absolutely. And so I think a self-published book, when you're trying to get, my ideal target market is teachers, but also administrators.
Right.
I wanted to pay attention to that, but there's a really great book called Published. It's all about self-publishing, and he has a course on how to self-publish.
Yeah.
But a friend recommended that book to me because she's also writing her book right now with a traditional publisher. But
Okay.
man, am I glad I read that book, because just because I went with a traditional publisher, I basically designed the cover of the book. They sent me some ridiculous covers that I was like, oh, no, 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 like I am not doing this. And so I basically designed the book cover,
Yeah.
really helped with the title.
Yeah.
Just I had my hands in so much more of this book than I thought I would with a traditional publisher. I thought I would, they would send me all these things and I would get, a great graphic designer, and they don't do any of that. Like, so it's still an uphill battle with a traditional publisher. I think, in some niches, 100% self-publish and read that book published and do all the steps in the book. He really lays it out for you about how you can make that happen. And then you get to keep, 100% of the royalties. And you get to set the pricing, and you can kind of work with the marketing a bit more, versus I don't have that flexibility, but we'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're in a niche that's not like directed towards professionals, it might be
Yes,
something to check out for sure.
definitely self-publish.
Yeah. Very interesting. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anything else you want to say about the book or the marketing before we wrap this up? I feel like this is such a good episode.
Good. I'm glad. I love talking about it. Like I really love talking about funnels and all things business.
Yeah.
And like you are the real deal, Lindsay. Like we have met in person, and it's sometimes easy when you listen to a podcast to not really realize that the person is a real person, and to believe the success that they've had. And like 100%, you are everything that you say you are on the podcast is exactly how you are in person. And like you have had all the success in the world. And I just like love watching you have all the success.
Oh, thank you, Juliana. That was sweet. Well, I learned a ton, so I'm really excited. It's like making me want to research a book. So thank you. I feel like this has been super helpful for my audience. If you're interested in a book, definitely check out Juliana's Funnel. If you're a math teacher, definitely pre-order her book. I know it's going to be incredible because everything she puts out is incredible. I know she helps so many math teachers. So I always ask my guests this. Tell us, and you kind of already have said a lot of things that you've been doing to be super generous, but if there's anything you want to add, any act of generosity you have done or plan to do.
Yeah. So my husband and I are both Christian, and, tithing is important to us, but we also, and it's something that we absolutely do, but we also wanted to get more involved with some of the organizations. And so there's a really great organization in Colorado called Hope House, and they help teen moms to just get where they want to be. And they have a God-centered approach to that. And so I have been using my gift of math teaching to help tutor some of the moms that are trying to pass the GED. And so they didn't graduate from high school. They had their babies and they now want to get a GED. And so I'm helping them study for the test. And so far I have 100% pass rate. My moms have all passed the GED after they've worked with me. But it's been so fun to get involved with them and to really use now that I'm out of the classroom, it's fun to still help engage students who have been historically unsuccessful in math, still in that small way.
That's incredible. You'll have to send me the link to their website. So if anyone is interested in
So great.
contributing, if you're in Colorado or maybe contributing financially, that's such a great cause. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love them.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Juliana. Tell everyone where they can find you, and we'll make sure to put all of your links below.
Yeah, you can find me just like I found Lindsay on Instagram. I'm collaborated.with.juliana. And then we'll have links to the pre-order, the funnel. If you're a consultant, I also have a support area for consultants to connect with me. So feel free to connect there, and always on Instagram.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up during the episode, but I feel like we could maybe have you back on and talk about consulting and starting a consulting business, because Juliana is starting to help teachers who want to do that as well. So we'll definitely make sure to put that link below and everything else. So thank you so much, Juliana. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.